Piper. We're here at Green Tech Media's Grid Edge World Forum. I'm here with Josh Prueher, CEO of FlexGen. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
So let's start off with an explanation of what kind of products you guys offer to serve customers at the Grid Edge.
Sure, so our company's really founded on sort of two core capabilities. The first is what we call fast data. That's the capability to collect power system data at incredibly granular levels of detail. So think 100 microseconds to 100 milliseconds. It's a capability that is, we would call maybe more advanced than what you might see in the traditional sort of IoT, industrial IoT space. And what we have found by looking at electrical load profile data in that level of granularity is that there are a host of problems that can then be solved by what we call fast rate energy storage. So it's a family of energy storage chemistries and module constructions that are more power dense and less energy dense. So think it's the very precise application of high pulses of power, of charge and discharge to basically deliver a very, very clean sine wave to the end use application. And the result is that you can drive enormous efficiencies, enormous improvements in overall power system reliability and power quality, particularly for customers that are operating expensive assets or sensitive electrical equipment.
Give a little bit more explanation of the fast data part of it, and how does that fit into the overall Internet of Things ecosystem?
Sure, so at end to end, there's a real challenge in the Internet of Things, we believe, in collecting data that is valuable for electrical power systems. We find that a lot of problems hide in very, very minute data. And if you're not looking at very, very short durations, like 100 microseconds, which is blink of an eye, you will miss deviations in things like harmonics, AC transients, voltage and frequency deviations, all sorts of electrical engineering problems that can cause systems to break down, to fail, to turn off, and therefore cause big problems for C&I customers.
And that granularity is really what sets you apart from competitors and other people working in this space?
We think it is. It's collecting data in a granular level is sort of a commodity business. That's not too difficult. It's collecting the right data, triaging and focusing on the right data amongst gigabytes and gigabytes of data per hour that we're collecting, and then obviously solving what's called the state space matrix, which is the sort of multivariable equation that you have to solve for a power system to truly virtually represent it in the cloud in a predictive analytics context. That requires some fairly complex power engineering to collect the data with that power engineering and create those predictive analytics models. That's what we think we do quite differently than others.
And so talk about some clients you already work with. What types of customers are those, and what do they want from you guys?
Sure, so we like customers who not only demand a low-cost kilowatt hour of electricity, but we're big believers that every kilowatt hour of electricity is not created equal. Customers that are operating expensive assets, particularly in the C&I space, will also pay a premium for not just low price, but also high reliability and high power quality, because it delivers them better asset utilization as well as better sort of R&M profiles for their downstream equipment. So we work a lot in the oil and gas industry, in other commodities industries like mining, in industrial power generation for manufacturing sites. And then the applications of our fast rate energy storage are starting to reach the grid, both at the edge as well as in sort of ancillary services like frequency response.
Maybe elaborate a little bit more on how your solutions would be applied in the electricity sector.
Sure, so I think there are two big buckets. One is in kind of the traditional market of frequency response. There's a growing requirement in the UK, in the PJM ISO, and in California that as renewables increase penetration, frequency response becomes a bigger problem. And there's an increasing requirement for very short duration, high power pulses. That is, within a couple phases of a frequency deviation, applying enormous amounts of power very efficiently. And that's really our expertise with fast rate energy storage. That's kind of grid proper. At the grid edge, we work a lot with C&I customers that either are on the grid and are creating problems for themselves and their utility in terms of power quality because they've got highly inductive, highly variable loads that don't really play well with the grid, and they see a lot of equipment failures and a lot of downtime. And typically what we will install are devices very close, sometimes behind the meter, sometimes at the distribution station level, that will basically firm up the grid in places where it otherwise has not had very good voltage and frequency stabilization.
Right, so more grid edge discussions from you to come.
Absolutely.
Good, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks, Julia.